Tell me about a time when you think you shifted into a parallel reality.
I was driving one night in New York on this parkway called the Jackie Robinson. If you're not from New York, Jackie Robinson is one of the dangerous parkways there. First of all, it's made through a cemetery, but it's a snake road. There's so many curves on it. So I'm driving in one night in the rain thinking I'm Rico Suave doing 60 miles per hour on these turns. I spin out like control and boom, hit the freaking cement wall. In the car, I'm like, all right, nothing looks really bad. Take my seatbelt off. I'm facing oncoming traffic and then the blue lights go off. I'm like, seatbelt on real quick. Guy comes up to my window. I'm looking at him like, you're not a cop? He's like, no. I'm like, you're EMT. Oh, what's up, bro? You saw that wicked thing? He then nervously helps me. It's my front bumper in the back seat of my car and he tells me, go ahead, I'll stop traffic for you. I mean, what are the odds that an EMT was directly behind my car? Undercover EMT car at that. So I turn my car around to leave because he's like, leave before the cops come. I look at my rearview mirror and there's no one there. Not even the craziest part. That same exact night, there was reports of 3 deaths, the same exact parkway. Only 2 of them were confirmed. I don't know, ever since that day, just nothing felt right. Like my family doesn't feel like my family. I feel like I just don't belong here.
Tell me about a time when you think you shifted into a parallel reality.
In 2014, I legally died. I was legally dead for 17 seconds. And although I give all the credit to the doctors for bringing me back and the nurses, when I died, I went somewhere else other than Earth, and I was given the choice to come back or go somewhere grander, and that's a whole different subject, but I chose to come back to be with my family, and ever since I've been back, I view the world in third person. My brain perceives everything that I do as if I am watching myself do it rather than seeing it out of my eyes. It's been like that ever since, and I miss first person a lot.
Tell me about a time when you think you shifted into a parallel reality.
I'm gonna try to tell this in 60 seconds. Essentially, I have a lot of really crazy lucid dreams. One time we got a couple of layers deep into a dream. So I was dreaming and I knew I was dreaming, but I thought that if I woke up, I was gonna wake up into what was another layer of a dream. Anyways, I got stuck in this deep dream for like a really long time. I could like eat food. I was sent to this therapist because essentially they thought I was crazy in this other world because I thought that I was dreaming. I worked at this store in a mall that I had never heard of, and I told them like the store I worked at in this reality, and they were like, that doesn't exist. Anyways, I was trapped there for months. I had diaries. I could look in the mirror. I would like take showers, go on dates with my boyfriend. I had a whole family. My diary entries were like really interesting because they like went all the way back till I was a kid. And obviously like all the family pictures, like none of it was from this reality, my life. So I was really convinced that I was dreaming and that I might be in a coma. So I would like sit and I would sketch like my boyfriend, my dog, my house. I can still remember what they look like via these sketches that I was doing in my dream. Part 2. So this is part 2 about like the switching reality thing. Essentially, I was trapped in this dream. I thought that I had slipped into a coma, and so I was stuck in like another dimension. As a lucid dreamer, I know how to wake myself up, but I couldn't wake myself up. I tried pretty much every day, and time passed pretty linearly while I was in this like dream space. So I was really adamant that I needed to wake up because I was afraid someone was going to like pull the plug. Like there was no way I was in here for that long and I wasn't like, you know, unconscious in my real life. Anyway, so right at the end of it, I was sitting with my mom outside and she was asking me why I would just like sit around sketching all day. And I told her that I was really afraid that when I woke up, I wasn't going to remember them and I was never going to be able to go back because this was a dream. But like I had been with them for so long that I loved them all. Anyways, I felt the weight of my foot. I ended up like moving it because I was like, oh, I have to wake up. I'm like in the hospital or something. But when I woke up, I was just in my dorm room. That had been another layer of dream. And it was really, really difficult. I was like sobbing for hours and it was really hard for me to like let go. That wasn't real. I just thought I'd make a part 3 because I got so many DMs from people. So first off, I can still clearly imagine the sketches, but I'm more of like a sketch from observation person. I haven't been able to replicate them. Specifically, I had like a golden retriever, and I had like this house with a big front window, and my boyfriend had like dark hair. I think his name was Aaron, but really I can only remember like faces. As far as shifting goes, I do have a lot of dreams where that's the theme, like shifting through realities. And I am in there for a very long time. I've honestly been lucid dreaming since I was in elementary school. Like I did not know that people weren't awake in their dreams all the time. But I've always been really, really sensitive to dreams. I also have like premonition dreams when people die and I like speak to them as they're passing away. But yeah, if you guys want to hear more about like dream stuff, I don't know if I should just start making videos about that because it's something that's like, it has followed me my whole life and I have a lot of really crazy experiences with it.
Tell me about a time when you think you shifted into a parallel reality.
May 19th, 2013. My family and I were hit by a semi that was doing about 120 miles per hour with a fully loaded trailer. So that's with velocity, basically. So this is what happened. This was the car in front of us. This was our truck. This was the semi. My mother saw the semi coming, so she shifted the front tires right as far as she could. The semi hit us in the back corner, shifted, hit the car in front of us, which was uncontrollably spinning in the lanes. We flipped up, barrel rolled twice within the air as the semi traveled underneath of us. We landed on the frame. While in that instance, I shot forward, shot back, leaned back, gripped with gravity, flowed with it, launched my consciousness into another body, left my ego, came back, and it feels like I've been in a coma ever since. I don't know this place at all.
Tell me about a time when you think you shifted into a parallel reality.
So when I first met my husband, I was so excited to hear that he didn't have any food allergies or major food aversions because cooking for people is my love language, and I was so excited to have every single ingredient available to me to cook for him. But about 5 years into our relationship, he sees me chopping cilantro for dinner one night and reminds me to leave it on the side because he hates cilantro. Now, at this point, I've been cooking for him for 5 years, and I know I've been putting cilantro in many, many dishes. But he swears that he has the gene that makes cilantro taste like soap, and that he has told me this many times and always asks me to leave it out of his portion. This goes on for 2 years. Every time I cook with cilantro, we have this conversation. He swears he has always hated it. I swear that he never told me prior to this time. But then all of a sudden, it was like a switch flipped again. He sees me leaving it out of his portion. He asks me why, and has zero recollection of ever telling me that it tastes like soap to him or he doesn't like it. So now our relationship is categorized into two realities, pro cilantro and anti cilantro.
Tell me about a time when you think you shifted into a parallel reality.
So mine happened when I was a little bit younger. Every summer, I remember going to Columbia, South Carolina with my mom to visit my great-grandma. And we did it summer after summer after summer, and it was always a really fond memory of mine. And when I was about 12 or 13, it hit August, and there was no talk of a visit to Columbia to see her. And I asked my mom, when are we seeing my great-grandma? And she said, which one? And I said, the one in Columbia, South Carolina. And she said, babe, that grandma died before you were even born. And she showed me pictures, and sure enough, it was the grandma I remember seeing every summer up until that point. And that was pretty wild. Hey guys, I think this will be my last response video, but I just wanted to answer a question that I've been getting, which is, what were you actually doing during those summers? Well, during elementary and middle school, I was in summer camps every single summer, and my family would take multiple trips a summer to beaches. One of those beaches was in Florida, Cocoa Beach. We did drive through South Carolina. One of the hypotheses my family had is maybe I saw road signs for Columbia or road signs for South Carolina, and accumulated some of these subconscious memories that would have led me to believe that we did actually visit Columbia, South Carolina. Additionally, my family thinks that perhaps I was accumulating more memories based on pictures I had seen of her, even if I don't really remember seeing any pictures of her, stories I had heard about her, any mentions or comments, and had constructed these memories in my head on my own. And even though they felt incredibly real to me, they were not.
Tell me about a time when you think you shifted into a parallel reality.
About 6 years ago, I was working in a psychiatric facility. During an overtime shift, I heard a banging on the wall. I go to check it out, and I see a patient who appears to be agitated. As I'm approaching this patient, another patient comes up from behind me and puts me in a chokehold. We struggled for what seemed like forever. We end up falling to the floor where he continues the chokehold. I eventually get to the point where I couldn't struggle anymore. Next thing I remember is I'm standing up and my coworkers have him in a prone containment. Now there's more to that part of the story, but that's for another time. Since that day, I've noticed some subtle differences in my wife. Like food options, even the way she laughs, just things that I don't remember her doing. We now have a running joke where I say, "You're not the person I married." My theory is, the day that happened, I actually didn't make it.
Tell me about a time when you think you shifted into a parallel reality.
So, a few years back, I attempted suicide, and from what I remember, the gun that I stuck in my mouth never went off. This is the bullet that never went off. So ever since waking up from that night, everything seems slightly different. Colors and logos for different companies seem different. I used to think Walmart had a green color scheme when it's actually blue. Taco Bell I used to think was gold and pink, but it's actually yellow and purple. People will add me on social media who claim they've known me my whole life, but I have no idea who they are. I will share stories with my parents or my family members, and they'll claim that they have no idea what I'm talking about or that never happened. Or they'll tell me stories, and I have no recollection of any of these stories ever happening. Sometimes I even hear voices that aren't there. Not in a schizophrenic way, but, you know, it's a little unsettling. But I actually think I died that night.
Tell me about a time when you think you shifted into a parallel reality.
My high school bully is dead, and you can't convince me otherwise. I know he's dead. He made the local news, everybody on Facebook was talking about it, and I have a very vivid memory of me speaking to his cousin about it. He's told me, I didn't like the guy so much, but I'm going to the funeral because his little brother is very distraught. Fast forward a few years and I tell my friend, hey, remember this such and such guy? He's dead. Like, isn't that crazy that he's been dead for like 2 or 3 years now? And she says, what are you talking about? He's very much alive. I think I'd remember him if he was alive, though. So she pulls up his Facebook page, and he's been posting on there regularly, just posting random redneck shit. And I can't find a single article of him dying. But I've seen them. I know I've seen them. I'm not crazy.
Tell me about a time when you think you shifted into a parallel reality.
2 separate instances years apart that make me think this reality is a little weird. First one was when I was 17. I went to a cabin with my friends after graduating from high school. On our way up to the cabin, we decided to take the shortest route. And the second that we turned onto that route, my entire body got covered in goosebumps and I started uncontrollably shaking. 5 minutes later, the car falls down a mountain. As we're falling down this mountain, all of a sudden time slows down and stops. While we're in midair, we hang there for who knows how long. As I'm looking around, there's this really loud voice that says, "You're gonna be okay." Then time starts again. We fall the rest of the way down the mountain. Car lands on its side in a river. Boulder had pierced the car. One of my friends fell out of the window. The metal of the car door had wrapped around my body. We all walked away without a scratch. The paramedics were baffled. They told us statistically we should have all died. Life turns back to normal until 8 years later. I accidentally have my first out-of-body experience. It's where I wake up on an asphalt road. Paramedic is standing over me. He tells me I was in a car crash and I'd been dead for 5 minutes.
Tell me about a time when you think you shifted into a parallel reality. I'll go first. This was a few years ago when I was...
Oh boy, do I have a story. It's 2012. I'm in a really high-end restaurant in Los Angeles. It's boutique. It's small. The way the restaurant's set up is that the bathrooms are at the back by the kitchen. So the only way to leave the actual restaurant itself is to go through the entire restaurant. I would have had to pass my seat, etc. So we get there. I have one drink. I need to go pee. I love to pee. The way the bathroom's set up, each stall has that space in the bottom so you can see if someone's using it. I remember walking into the bathroom, putting my purse on the toilet paper holder, and that was it. I came to what I found out was a half hour later, and I was still sitting on the toilet with my underwear on. I hadn't even gone pee. So I do my business, all like confused and stuff, and I felt really like weird. I come out of the bathroom. Our servers, the manager, my girlfriend, everyone's looking for me. Where were you? Walked into the bathroom. All the stalls were empty. Where did you go? I'm literally like, I just was in the toilet. No, you were not. I went into the bathroom and went through every toilet stall. It was empty. So I remember sitting back down at the table with my girlfriend, and I'm like, what the actual fuck? She's like, you were gone for over half an hour.
Tell me about a time when you think you shifted into a parallel reality.
Okay. It was 8 years ago, December 21st, 498. Me and my homies were chilling in Santa Fe flipping some dreamers because that's where all the misfits went after the nuke. And all of a sudden there was this loud, low hum coming from inside the earth. And instantly at the same time, an aurora borealis, or like the northern lights, shot across the sky. I instantly looked over at my friends to see if they could see it too, but they were frozen. Everyone around me was just frozen in time. So while terrified, I let out this scream, and then I woke up with a different name, in a different body, with a different family, a different everything. And I was never able to make it back, and so I just learned how to adapt here.
Give me an item you bought that you were greatly disappointed in due to poor product description or false advertising.
I bought a banana duck. I got it off of Facebook Marketplace. And these were the pictures that they use, like for like the ad. As you can tell, they are obviously outdoors and pretty large compared to like the poles and like the sidewalk and everything. So I was like, hey, I like weird things. I'll buy a banana duck sculpture. I don't know. I waited like a month for it to arrive, and it got here. But it's definitely not the size it shows in the pictures.
What's the rudest thing that anybody has ever just said directly to your face?
So one time when I was serving at a restaurant, I walked up to the table to introduce myself and said, "Hi, my name's Ulysses. I'll be your server." And then the lady at the table said, "Oh my God, Ulysses, I love that name. Are you Greek?" And then I said, "No, I'm not Greek. I'm actually Nicaraguan," which then she responded with, "Oh my God, Nicaraguan? But you're so attractive though." And then I must have made a face like this. Because then she said, "Oh my God, don't get offended. It's a compliment. I've been to Nicaragua and you look nothing like them."